Hello, so in this video we're going to look at chapter 6.5, Polynomial Equations. There will be two topics that we're going to go over. In the description below there'll be the video chapters or sections, so you can jump to the various topics that you want to see or examples that you want to see. Also, there will be a link to the Intermediate Algebra textbook, the first and second edition. There will be a shared folder that you can look at additional notes, resources, and examples that you would like to see. And at the bottom there will be a survey. So first we're going to look at using the zero product property. And it states if a times x equals 0, then either a equals 0 or b equals 0 or both. So when we're given a standard form of a polynomial, we can take the binomial, so when we have it like in parentheses equaling 0, then we can set each of them equal to 0 and get a value. And so you would use that in various different situations where, for example, if we had something in the denominator, we could set the denominator equal to 0 to find the domain where it would be undefined, and that would be where it would make the fraction undefined. Because you can't have 1 over 0 or 2 over 0 or anything because it will be undefined. So first we're given 4x minus 3 in parentheses and x minus 9 in parentheses equaling 0. So right off the bat, we could set each of them equal to 0. So 4x minus 3 equaling 0 and x minus 9 equaling 0. If we add 3 to both sides, we get 4x is equal to 3 and x would equal 3/4. And then x would also equal positive 9. So next we're given in parentheses 3a minus 10 in parentheses and in parentheses 2a minus 7 equaling 0. We would set each of them equal to 0, so 3a minus 10 equaling 0 and 2a minus 7 equaling 0. You would add 10 to both sides, so we get 3a is equal to 10. Divide by 3, we'd get a is equal to 10/3. If we add 7 to both sides, we get 2a is equal to 7. And dividing by 2, we get a would equal 7/2. So next we're given 25a squared minus 49 equaling 0. And we can see that this is a difference of squares. So we could rewrite it as 25x squared as 5x in parentheses squared, and 49 would be 7 in parentheses squared. So we would have 5x plus 7 in parentheses and 5x minus 7 in parentheses equaling 0. We would set each of them equal to 0. So if we subtract 7 from both sides, we get 5x is equaling to negative 7. We get x is equal to negative 7/5. If we add 7 to both sides, we get 5x is equal to 7. And if we divide by 5, we get x is equal to 7/5. So next, we're given x squared is equal to 625. If we subtract 625 from both sides, we get x squared minus 625 equaling 0. And we can see that as difference of squares. And so we would have x plus 25 and x minus 25 equaling 0. And set them both equal to 0, x plus 25 equaling 0, x minus 25 equaling 0. If we solve for x, we would get x is equal to negative 25 and x is equal to positive 25. So next we're going to look at solving application problems, and it will initially just be word problems or triangles or rectangular problems. So some of the things that we're going to be looking at is we're going to look at consecutive integers, where if we let x be the first integer for the list, and then we have different ones for even and odd. We're going to look at the rectangular area formula. So when we have a rectangle, we'll have lengths times width, and then if they're polynomials, then we have to just solve. We will look at the Pythagorean theorem, where a squared plus b squared equals c squared, and a and b will always be your legs. So on the base or the opposite side, or base or height side, and then your hypotenuse will always be your c. So first we're given the product of a consecutive odd integer is 143. Find the integers. And so we would use the integers x plus 2 equaling 143. We would distribute the x to get x squared plus 2x equaling 143. If we subtract 143 from both sides, we get x squared plus 2x minus 143 equaling 0. And we would have an x squared plus bx plus c form, and we can see that our factored form would be x plus 13, x minus 11 equaling 0. And so if we set them both equal to 0, x plus 13 equaling 0, x minus 11 equaling 0, we would get an x that equals negative 13 and x that equals a positive 11. And since it's asking for us to have a consecutive odd integer be the product, we can include the positive and negative. So our answer would be plus or minus 13 and plus or minus 11. So next we're given the product of a consecutive even integer is 168. Find the integers. So we would use the x plus 2, again, equaling 168. Distribute the x. We get x squared plus 2x equaling 168. If we subtract 168 from both sides, we get x squared plus 2x minus 168 equaling 0. And if we factor, we get x minus 12 and x plus 14 equaling 0. We set them both equal to 0. We get that x is equal to positive 12 and x would equal a negative 14. And since we have a even integer, we would include the positive and negative. So we know that the width is equal to x minus 2 because we want it's 2 less than its length, and we can let the length equal x. And the area for rectangle is equal to length times width. We would simply just plug in the values for it. So we would have 15 is equal to x in parentheses x minus 2. If we distribute the x, we get x squared minus 2x equaling 15. If we subtract 15 from both sides, we get 0 is equal to x squared minus 2x minus 15. If we looked at factoring that, we would have x plus 3, x minus 5 equaling 0. If we set them equal to 0, we would have x plus 3 equaling 0 and x minus 5 equaling 0. We would get x is equal to negative 3 and x is equal to positive 5. And since we can't have a negative length, we can't use negative 3, and so we can get rid of it. And so our answer for x would equal 5. So our length is equal to 5 square feet. And our width would equal x minus 2 or 5 minus 2, which would give you a width of 3 feet. So now a stained glass window is shaped like a right triangle, a hypotenuse of 15. One leg is 3 feet more than the other one, so x plus 3, and we just have x. So if we use our Pythagorean theorem, we have a squared plus b squared equaling c squared. Let's say that we have b squared equaling x plus 3. So if we plug them in, we get x squared plus x plus 3 in parentheses squared equaling 15 squared. We would get x squared, and if we were to FOIL x plus 3, we would get x squared plus 6x plus 9 equaling 225. If we combine like terms, we would get 2x squared plus 6x plus 9 equaling 225. If we subtract 225 from both sides, we would get 2x squared plus 6x minus 216 equaling 0. If we divide both sides by 2 to simplify it, we could get x squared plus 3x minus 108 equaling 0. If we looked at factoring that, we could get x minus 9, x plus 12 equaling 0. And if we put them both equal to 0, we get x minus 9 equaling 0, x plus 12 equaling 0, and x would equal 9, and x would equal negative 12. But since we can't have a negative length on a triangle, or at all, we can get rid of the negative 12, and so x would equal 9. B would equal x plus 3, or 9 plus 3, which would give you 12 feet. And C, we know that it's 15 feet. We can plug those values in. We get an x plus 7 in parentheses squared plus x in parentheses squared equaling x plus 9 squared. If we were to FOIL them, x plus 7 would give us x squared plus 14x plus 49 plus x squared equaling, and if we try to FOIL x plus 9, we would get an x squared plus 18x plus 81. If we combine like terms first, so we get 2x squared plus 14x plus 49 equaling x squared plus 18x plus 81. If we subtract everything on the right over to the left, so if we minus x squared, that's canceled. Minus 18x, the right cancels. Minus 81, that cancels. And so we're left with x squared minus 4x minus 32 equaling 0. And if we factor that, we get x plus 4, x minus 8 equaling 0. If we set them equal to 0, x plus 4 equaling 0, we get an x is equal to negative 4, and x minus 8 equaling 0, we get an x that equals 8. And since we can't have a negative length, we can get rid of it. And so our answer for x would equal 8. So side B would equal x, and so it would be 8. Side A would be x plus 7, and so we would go 8 plus 7, which would give you 15. C would equal x plus 9. We would have 8 plus 9, which would give you 17.